Closer.
Are we good?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. When speaking during the meeting, please come to the podium, state your name and address, speak loudly and clearly. Thank you. Item number 1 on the agenda today is approval of the agenda.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0. Item number 2, approval of the meeting minutes from September 24th, 2024.
I'll move approval.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0. Item number 3, approval of claims. And on that, I would call on Shane Albrecht, please.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Right now, there is 5 claims. First claim is from Goldberg Group Architects for $2,664.80. The next claim is from Frederickson in the amount of $20,422.06. The next one is from Resource Consulting Engineers, and that is for $6,105. The next one is from Baker Group for $32,013. And the final one is from Ron Wick for $282.59. And that one's reimbursable for the time capsule. The total of claims this meeting is $61,487.45.
Aye.
Wait a minute. I'll move approval.
I second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 2-0. Thank you. Item number 4 is financial report, and I would call on Michelle Scaff, if I could, please, for that.
Thank you. So I haven't been called upon for anything specific up to this point. So this morning I received a call to compile a report for the LEC Authority, and I don't know if there's been any formal chain of communication, but Chairman Ung did temporarily delegate me to the finance duties that Dennis Butler formerly did. So if there's anything related to reports that you need as far as the law enforcement authority, feel free to reach out to me. I temporarily had given Shane privileges to our software, and we had our audit a few weeks ago, and our external auditor said that we should not be providing that access, even though it was public information. They said we should not provide that access to a consultant that's not a county employee. And so I sent an email out advising that if there's anything that you would have worked with Dennis in the past, feel free to reach out to me and I'll provide what you need. So trying to put this together, I just went back to the start of the fiscal year because I had a couple of reports and I couldn't really get the beginning balances. I think that maybe Shane and I can get together and try to coordinate a little bit better so that we can have a beginning balance that matches.
Okay, I think we need a motion to introduce this document.
I'll move that.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And on this, the beginning balances that I pulled is from our finance software, which would be the cash balances of the different funds, including the taxable bonds, the miscellaneous revenues, and the Justice Center. And then the second page, just as it has been in the past, is the expenses, but that will be the expenses since July 1st. So this may be duplicating some of the stuff that you've already seen since I didn't have that to compile together. So do you want me to go into detail about these items? I haven't attended many of these meetings to know exactly how Dennis presented these.
I don't need you to.
No, I'd be fine just with the information presented.
Okay, and then the other thing is there's some ARPA lines on here, and I didn't know if the furniture and fixtures was one of those lines that's usually included, and if so, is that usually on the ARPA projects line? You don't include that on here, or you don't desire that?
So the only things that were included in the ARPA numbers, the top line started off with a balance of $10 million. The next line, I think, Michelle, I can't do the actual number for you. It's only the ARPA number. It used to be $4,200,000, then the board reallocated some money to that just recently, so it's that one ARPA project?
The furniture and fixtures
No.
is what we call it on there.
No, it's the other, I'll work with you on that. It's not the furniture and fixtures. Furniture and fixtures is a building services project, and Kenny manages the furniture and fixtures piece of that.
Okay, we'll need to get together to make sure that our software is in matching with what everything is, because, yeah, that's something that, we'll make a meeting and talk about that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, in this, I don't think it's probably appropriate to ask questions because she was directing the questions at the commission. So there will be a question because there's an expenditure out of one of the funds that doesn't make sense based on the claims. So we'll need to bring that up too. Okay?
Okay, all right. So do you want to do that right now?
Can you tell me what the expenditure out of 4750 is? I'm afraid it's Baker Group's.
That is Hausman. It's on the taxable bonds on the
Okay.
second page, and if I put that in the wrong spot, please let me know, since I'm
Okay.
just trying to go with
Yep.
what you've had in the past.
Yep.
All right, yes, if the two of you could get together and get this all balanced out, that would be great. We'd appreciate that.
Okay, when's your next meeting? Sorry.
We're going to be talking about that here in a little bit on the
Okay,
agenda.
okay, because I'll be unavailable the rest of this week, so maybe next week sometime we can do that.
Yeah, it's on the agenda for our next meeting to be a week from today.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for me?
No,
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, item number 5 on the agenda today is discussion and action on PCOs 142R, 143, and 145. And I would call on Shane Albrecht if he would please start with 142R, please.
Sure. 142R is a storefront credit. So what this is, if you all remember a long time ago when we talked about there's some scratches and stuff that were going to try to be fixed, but because of the powder coated finish, it was not going to be, it would cause more damage and more delay if we made them tear the frames out. And we talked about that in the past. That is the credit for them touching them up and leaving them there. Okay? There is a brand-new door that will be coming as part of this. That is not reflected in the credit. We get a brand-new door and $10,000.
Sure.
Okay? Is there any questions? I'll probably talk
Thank you.
more in the
All
mic.
right, then we move on to PCO 143.
Yeah, you usually approve them one at a time.
All right, yeah, you're right.
I'd move approval.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. I'm sorry. Okay, now we'll move on to 143.
So, 143 is PR 35R fees. And that's an amount of $13,947. And this, I'm sorry, I'll explain fees. Wait, how about this? I'll turn the microphone on and explain fees better. So back when we approved Thompson and Suter's fees on PR 35R, we did that, I think in the month of July. There was not, we didn't, Hausman gets on, all were performed by their subs, a 5% fee on top of that. We approved Thompson's fee and Hausman's fee, but did not give Hausman the backup, the 5% payment for both Thompson and Suter. So this is just an accounting thing to correct that because we just struck through all their fees because they were billing us for extended general conditions and the rest of that stuff. So this just rights the ship on the stuff we approved for Suter and Thompson in previous times.
Need a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Then we'll move on to PCO 145, please.
Yes. So PCO 145 is a credit for the amount of $2,233. As the project is going on and moving forward, the authority is responsible for CTS coming out and testing everything one time. We had some water damage from the toilet running over and stuff and running down, so they had to come out and fireproof a bunch of stuff. The authority, although we have the contract and we want all that records to fall under us, Hausman is responsible for paying for all that retesting work. So this is a credit for all the retesting work that the authority had to pay for that they can then charge Hausman for.
I'd move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Item number 6, discussion and action on PCCO 028. Now call on Shane Albrecht, please.
Thanks, Ron. This is the record keeping that we always do. When we approve PCOs, we always approve a PCCO because that puts it on the document to be ready to be included in the next pay request, so that way we can actually execute them. Unfortunately, at this time, I recommend we do not approve PCCO 28, not because the amounts are wrong on it. I don't like the verbiage, and I got advice from Jody as well, Jody McDougall, our legal counsel. Don't like the verbiage that's in the middle here, so I don't recommend approving this until that verbiage is cleaned up. And right now, Jody has written verbiage she's okay with, or just striking it because the whole change order is just an accounting thing.
So will it be ready for next week?
That's
For the
the
meeting?
hope. I have a
So we
meeting,
just moved a table for next week?
would like that, if that's okay.
Yeah. I'd move to table.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Okay, item number 7, discussion and action on the LEC Authority hiring a damages and delays expert. And again, I would call on Shane Albrecht from Baker Group, please.
Yeah, at our last meeting, Jody talked about having some smaller questions that she needed to talk to Alan about as far as the damages and stuff. And we felt we needed to have an official line, so you guys can actually approve working with Alan and Jody. Are you still on?
Yep, I am in. I can jump in, yes. So just to confirm, so Al Nagasanti, kind of a long last name there. He's the gentleman we talked about in early 2024. So he is the damages and delay expert out of Dallas, who I do not want to retain on a full basis right now, but I want to retain on a limited basis to do some consulting calls with him to the extent we need some assistance from this outside expert in this calendar year. And in the engagement letter that we would sign with him, pending your approval, I would note in the engagement letter that he cannot bill, it would be time not to exceed $5,000 of total fees. So total fees that I would want to spend with consulting with Al this calendar year would be $5,000, up to $5,000 of fees. And if you have any other questions on Al, I'd be happy to answer them. But I recommend you all approve this limited engagement for Al.
Any questions?
Jody, any of the information that Al finds would obviously, that helps our case, would be shared with John Templer and the Board of Supervisors, correct?
Yes. So, yep, this all goes into our joint claims that both the county and the authority have against Hausman and Goldberg and Entroba, and we would be working together both working with Al to the extent each entity needs consulting services with Al. But at this time, the consulting services and the calls I want to have with Al are more focused on our claims and the delay claims. But then I would say at a later time, there could be calls regarding the county's claims and alleged damages.
Thanks, Jody.
Yep,
I would
no problem.
move approval.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Item number 8 on the agenda is information and update on the LEC project. And again, Shane Albrick from Baker Group.
Yeah, so as everybody can remember, we're rapidly approaching October 15th, which is the date of final completion, which is the time frame that the contractor, the 60 days from substantial completion is given to correct all the items. There's been a lot of different work going on out there. Kenny can attest. There's been a lot of people that have taken his people away from doing stuff to work on a door here or a freezer here or something. So they're getting a lot of those warranty things knocked out. Unfortunately, we're probably adding 4 or 5 other things we're noticing on a daily basis sometimes, it seems. But the biggest question you all are going to have is where are we at on the 33 items that were listed as a punch list minus whatever else for substantial completion. So the big ones, White Castle is currently on site doing the warranty repairs on the roof. That will take care of 6 or 7 of the punch list items too at the time that they correct the damage on the roof in our understanding. So they're proceeding. They'll be here all week working on the roof. I will have an update at our next authority meeting on where they exactly are. With some safety and security, getting up to the roof right now has not been an easy task, just because of elevators being shut down and everybody trying to do what they're doing. So I've been relying on Hausman for updates on where everything is. Seating, that was accomplished 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. They went around and did their 100% seating and their 75% seating. Unfortunately, we have not had much rain since that all happened, so we have not seen much growth out there, but we did see the effort to spread out the dirt, put the seating down. There is some erosion control mats down on some 100% reseed areas that we talked about. So that work has been at least accomplished. We had some underlying problems that weren't necessarily on the punch list, but probably the biggest one that we've been working on the last 2 weeks is we had boiler number 1 had failed. Some of you may have got emails at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, phone calls and different things with all the different failures on that boiler and someone on a chiller, okay? I sure know Kenny got a few of them. Unfortunately, I know that kept him awake some nights. So I apologize for that. Update on that. CW Suter received from Lochinvar a part last Friday by air. They installed it on Monday. Vern Simmons, which sounds like a person's name. It's actually a company. It's a supply company. Vern Simmons will have a rep out here on Wednesday to recommission the boiler and get it all back up and running. And we think the part they found, because it was a damper, is really the crux of this boiler not working. So that is good news there. Either I've got numb to the emails from Kenny. Kenny, would you come up to the podium, please? Because I'm going to state this as I see it. You state it as you see it, please. I don't think I've received an email about the chiller failing since about last Friday. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to add, Kenny, why don't you talk about the chiller and one of your biggest concerns about the chiller? Because of the temperatures outside and we may not see.
Sure. One of my biggest concerns with the chiller was up until probably last week, it did not appear at any time that it was operating correctly. And we expressed those concerns. It was going into alarm and tripping out. We've made some adjustments. I know we've called upon some experts to provide input to assist the contractors with their thoughts on some things to try. And I believe we made some headway. I'm not sure that we're where we need to be yet. That's unseen, but the alarms have subceased or stopped for the most part. I think there's a little bit of work to do ahead of us yet. One of our concerns related to that Shane was leading up to is we're now in October. Any day we could see the temperatures drop and not get back up into, into the 60s even maybe. So the concern is that pretty soon, any day, we're not going to need that chiller any longer. It still may have a problem, and then the problem is going to rest all winter and come back like a lion with revenge in the spring. And we'll have to address its problem then. That's the concern on the plate right now.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah.
So with the chiller, there's still the warranty on the chiller. So Hausman still has the 1 year from date of substantial completion, plus the different compressor warranties and all the different things. So that stuff is also being working on and being compiled. So right now, as we head toward our final completion, some things I will tell you that are not necessarily concerning for the final completion, because they probably won't hold us up, but concerning. So our seismic bracing report that you're going to ask about we still do not have a formal seismic bracing report. It is one of the items on the list. We don't have one yet, okay? I will be pushing on that on a call at 9 o'clock tomorrow, why I haven't seen it, okay? We were going through a lot of other things last Wednesday, but my question was why I still had not seen it last Wednesday. I just didn't get to ask the question because Steve was not on the call. Sorry, I'm supposed to be, it's hard because I'm a person that looks at who I've talked to. I apologize to the audience, to everybody, because I don't do a good job just talking into the microphone. So that's one of the things that concerns me. Another thing that concerns me that we haven't talked about yet is test and balancing. So test and balancing has been out there. We've been talking about it at these meetings. What's going on there? Our expert, Corey Metzger from Resource Consulting Engineers, has responded. Once we finally got the information from Suter and it got compiled, Corey has responded 3 times to the balancer with his recommendations, and each time copying Introba in that to finally hear from Introba. Last Thursday, we had a good day in my world. Mark Schaefer was focused on that for most of the day. Corey sent out more stuff out on Friday. Tried to reach out to Mark Schaefer, and he was out of office. So we've been struggling right now getting that final meeting with Introba to get a final document so that we can hold Suter and balancing professionals and Introba and whoever else to get these problems rectified. Because like the gremlins that Kenny's talking about in the chiller, we are going to have inmates in that building at some time, okay? I'm not the sheriff, so I'm not going to say when that is. But the sheriff is trending toward that very soon. We have put together a plan A, areas that need to be fixed before there's inmates. We put together a plan B, how to fix those areas if there gets to be inmates there before those areas can be fixed. Plan B, I'll very clearly explain to you. We have worked with building services, the sheriff, and there's going to be some times during the day that they're going to have to do that. And it's not your normal 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 4 o'clock in the morning or midnight or something else to do to not disrupt the sheriff's office if they get to the point where they're having inmates in the building. Then we'll have to work around it. last is my update. Right now, we feel, Ron, myself, and hopefully the rest of you do after the updates, that it is on building services and the sheriff's office to put inmates in that building whenever they can. And anything that Hausman or anybody else has to do, we're gonna just work around the fact there's inmates in the building. Any questions?
Could you walk people through the seismic bracing again and what parties are responsible for that and what the holdup is?
Sure. So, there's three components to the building that require seismic bracing. Seismic bracing is required on all systems. So systems in that building there's a sprinkler system, there's an HVAC and a piping system, and there's an electrical system of conduit and everything else. So there's three contractors that are responsible for seismic bracing. By the specifications, seismic bracing needs to be provided by an independent third-party person. So it's not GGA, it's not Introba. They provide shop drawings for reference of locations of where the seismic bracing is gonna be, but then they bring in a consultant of where they bought the material, the seismic bracing material. So there's different hangers, different things. So they bring in an expert to verify and an engineer to verify this seismic bracing was put in here, here, and here, okay? I think the root of the question you're also asking, and for me to answer to, is seismic bracing is shown to be installed between a 45 and a 90-degree angle on this brace. It's installed to be exactly at a 90-degree angle on this type. There's four types of seismic bracing. There's a lateral brace, a longitudinal brace, a change of direction brace, and an end brace. They all have a very specific tolerance. When the expert from Prairie Fire was out and the engineer, what was supposedly taking an extra amount of time is if you don't hit 45 degrees because of an obstruction of a piece of ductwork, piece of piping, and you're only at 33 degrees, and it's a latitudinal brace, they have to calculate all the rest of the latitudinal braces from there to the end to make sure you still have the right amount of lateral movement. Longitudinal brace, you have to do the exact same thing. The change of direction and the ends are not compromisable. So what I mean by that is they have, when they're the ends, they have to be at the ends within 5 feet of the ends, okay? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so we're waiting on the report, which would be from the supplier,
The consultant that supplier hired? Yes.
and he had to come and physically look at the stuff to do this report, wasn't that correct?
That was correct.
And he was here when?
He was here before the end of July. He was here, I think, right after the 4th of July, middle of July, so July 16th. He sent a letter before substantial completion that he hadn't quite got the report all done, but felt his stuff was insignificant and the fact that Prairie Fire had corrected most of the stuff. So we did get a letter from him just before August 16th, but that letter does not excuse the requirement to still provide the report.
So, yeah, I guess we can't figure out why it takes this long to get this report.
In the latest letter from Jody to Hausman, she does talk about the seismic bracing report too.
Okay. Do we think there'll be any corrective work once we get the final report or not?
I'm optimistic that it's already been corrected.
Okay. I had one other question, but I may have forgotten the chain, so you
Okay.
might be off the hook.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Shane.
Shane, would you want to just give a couple more updates on the items that are done since our last meeting, PR 50, 52, Sally Port sliding door, and give some
Sure.
more updates about the things that have now been completed?
Sure. The sliding door coming from booking into the vehicle Sally Port was not a punch list item, it was a warranty item after the punch list. The door was sticking and causing a lot of grief. Poly Jail was out, checked that and most every other door in the building. The door failed again. Poly Jail came back out. This time when they got there, the door kept and has continued to work. I can't explain it, I'm just telling you, it's just like taking your vehicle to go get it fixed, anybody that ever has. And it does this thing intermittently, and it never, when you have the mechanic looking at it, does it. It might do it 5 minutes after you left, but it doesn't do it then. Anyway, that has been corrected. You want to know the two other things that have been done? Jody, remind me again. Guy got off on a tangent.
Yeah, PR 50.
Oh, sure.
And PR 52, and then maybe make a note of air handling unit 1.
Sure. PR 50, which was the insulation, the sound lagging insulation that needed to be added to AHU 3. That work started on September 23rd and was complete by Friday of that week, with maybe just a little bit of cleanup work that happened on the 30th. So that was completed before the 1st of October. When they did that, they replaced the coil at the same time. So both the coils and the sound lagging are done and in service and didn't hold anything up. So to me, that was good. We did have a failure earlier in the week on AHU 1 or 2. And that went out, the free stat tripped on that. So there's a couple other things. Problem there is basically probably caused by cold air dropping and being stratified and hitting the free stat. Free stats is set usually at a temperature between 36 and 38 degrees, and its complete goal is to protect the unit from freezing up a coil. We also have glycol in the system, so we have burst protection to minus 35 degrees, I think it is. So, but we still have the safeties in the unit to shut it down if it trips a free stat. All right, Jody,
I think you've covered it.
thank you for the assist.
Okay. Any other
no.
questions? If not, we'll move on to item number 9 on the agenda, discussion and action on moving the next LEC Authority meeting to October 15th, 2024. And the reason we're having that discussion today is that is our projected final completion date, and we think it would be good that we would hold a meeting on that date so that everyone would be up to speed on where things were at.
Is that the one that's set for 3 o'clock PM? I don't know, my calendar is 3 o'clock.
I'm not sure I saw a time on it.
We had talked, Dan, last time about moving it to 3 o'clock to try to make it easier on Mark and you. That's up to everybody here. Maybe it
3's
needs-
fine for me.
Maybe it needs to stay at 2 so we have time for a closed session, but I'm not sure. You guys discuss that.
3's fine with me.
Good with me.
3 o'clock works for me, then. We have a motion?
I move we set the next LEC meeting for October 15th at 3 p.m.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. Item number 10 on the agenda is discussion and action on setting the location for the October 15th, 2024 meeting. And the conversation we would like to have, or that I would like to have, is that we look at moving the meeting to the new law enforcement center in the future. We have some issues with the meeting room we've been meeting in, isn't handicapped properly, and as a result of that, if we were to move to the new facility, we would have a handicap facility and handicap meeting room.
What room out at the LEC would we use?
The conference room downstairs.
Okay. Would we need signage and the like for the public if they showed up to be pointed in the direction of that room?
We would need that.
Yep.
Would want that, yes.
I'm fine meeting out there. That was just my only thought, was for anybody coming and be new and different, and so we just gotta make sure that they can find room and.
Right. And the other thing I think that would be helpful to us is that meeting room would probably be a little bit better than this room for closed session.
Hey, we might want to revisit the time of 3 o'clock because that might be pushing you for your 4:30 Board of Supervisors meeting.
Potentially. I guess the other thing I'm thinking about is Karen, you'd have to come out there then.
Yes.
And then if we had Michelle do an update, you'd probably have to come,
And recording.
and the recording, yeah.
You can take the owl with, the owl will work, just plug
Because I think we want to continue the recording for sure.
Oh, yes.
the owl will do that.
Sure.
And you're still using the sound too from upstairs, I think. Sorry. I think you're still also using that microphone on the, right? That can go too. That's portable. It goes with, just plugged in the computer.
You might want to test it. You might not even need it because I think we had that microphone because of the acoustics of that room. And the owl alone may work because I think at the district health, they have that and it works just fine without an extra microphone. But you can test it sometime this week maybe, or next week.
And is there a phone in there?
I think that given that Karen is getting paid the big bucks and Michelle getting paid the big bucks to help with this, that we maybe just keep it at the courthouse. I understand, the sentiment there, but I think just for the ease of those people that we maybe just continue having them at the courthouse, and it's easier for the public to find, and then we don't have to pack a bunch of stuff out there to come back. And then the phone, I think, is a legitimate thing if we have Jody or John Templer or somebody wants to call in. So just a few obstacles to try to get through in a matter of a week. So I think we just keep it. I like upstairs better. I understand the predicament with that room, but
One of the other things that we had talked about when we were considering moving the meeting out there would be if there was an issue that we needed to deal with as an authority, we would be on premises, we'd be able to recess and go check out the potential problem that we would have.
yeah, and that's fair. I just, would the public then follow us along too? If we had a recess to look at an issue, would they come with us?
I'm not sure on that.
And that's fine. I would be comfortable just leaving it here. I think that's what works best for the staff that's helping us out with this, and I'm just trying to be cognizant of their wishes.
And with Hausman's last day being on October 15th, they'll be out there working, so maybe we wait till, I think in the future, we might want to look at the LEC, Ron, but I think we might not want to be there on their last day that they're going to be providing services to the facility. Because we're winding down in a good way.
Okay, so
I'd say we'll just set the location as here in the courthouse, the same as usual.
here
For
with
next
that,
week. I'm good with that.
okay, with that, we'll move on from item number 10 to item number 11.
But you want to be down here then? We almost have to be.
Well, we have to be, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, item number 11, public concerns. Seeing or hearing none, we'll move on to item number 12, authority board concerns.
I have a couple of things to point out regarding transportation to and from the Law Enforcement Center. I had a really good meeting yesterday with Mike Collette, he's the Assistant City Manager, and Matthew Ong, the Chairperson of the Board of Supervisors. We were presented with a tentative schedule of times for Monday through Friday that transportation would be necessary, so I'm hopeful that we are going to come up with some options and move forward with that issue. The scheduling helped a lot, and so that's going to be a good thing there. Earlier today, and I remember a couple of meetings ago, they were putting our warranty items in a booklet. Did Goldberg and Associates get that done so that we have the booklet with all the warranties in it? That was probably 2 weeks ago, maybe.
They're still waiting on warranties from Houseman. That's part of warranties, Dan, that they have to have done by the 15th.
So we should have those on the 15th then?
That's what it says contractually.
Wow, okay. I guess we'll wait for the warranty items.
What becomes the process if we don't get those?
I can jump in. I mean, generally, we're gonna continue to ask for those, and continue to, push for Houseman to do everything that they're obligated to do to get the project to final completion, while at the same time, the sheriff's department will be looking to, when inmates could be moved in.
Jody,
But there would be a question, I mean, so the contractual completion date is October 15th, and so the next week we will check in with everyone and let everyone know where the project stands at that date.
Jody, I know that the Houseman's contractually obligated to provide us this stuff, but why is this such a sticky issue? I mean, have you seen this before on projects? I mean, I think this would be just pretty straightforward to provide our people warranty stuff. This does not seem difficult, I guess, so why are they making it so?
Jody, can I jump in there?
Yeah, sure.
The problem is, industry trends and industry standards are when we start up the piece of equipment is the date the warranty starts. So when everybody right now, so when they started up the piece of equipment, it's when they want to start the warranty. Our project is very specific, and Houseman is contractually obligated to follow the contract. The contract says the date will start on substantial completion. So there has been numerous things that they've submitted that have had the wrong warranty date on them and have already started the warranty and ended the warranty because things have started up over a year ago, so that some of those warranties are either a year too far along. So it's been a back and forth. Here's the stuff with the wrong dates. Here's the date it has to be. And this has been going on, Mark, for a while. So it's not always as easy as it seems because there's dates involved and there's pushback and fight back saying, well, we've had this building running and you've already used it. Generator, air handlers, boilers, chillers. At the end of the day, the authority doesn't care when something was started. The warranty starts at substantial completion because that's what it says by contract, okay? But getting the documentation to match that has been an argument back and forth. Anything
And
else?
I would just add, I'm sorry, Shane. Yeah, I would just add, I do see this, Mark. So it is a little bit more complicated than you might think. It's just not a matter of, let's say Houseman handing over some pamphlets or warranty information. It's a lot of different suppliers or subcontractors that we're having to get operational manuals from, warranty stuff, and then Shane pointed out, we got to make sure all that stuff's right. So yes, it actually does take a little bit of time to do it, and we want to just make sure it's done right. But not having warranty or O&Ms generally is not going to prevent our use of the building. So that's good, but we do want to make sure we get everything right, and that's what our owner's rep is there to do. He's pushing to get everything done.
Could we, at a minimum, though, could the commissioners have a list of the warranty items that we're talking about? I can understand what you're saying, your explanation about the dates, but could we get a list of what those warranty items are, please?
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Moore?
You can ask anything you want.
The warranty items, are you talking about, you want the list of what it is that are fixing? I think we're talking two different warranties.
No, not a list of what's fixing. That's long enough as it is. I just want a list of what the warranties are on. Don't we?
Okay, the pieces of equipment.
whatever the warranties are on, be the roof, whether it's the,
Yep.
whatever it is, just a list of those warranties. So we've got those somewhere, I hope.
Todd has that list compiled, and I'll bring that to you on Tuesday.
Could you email it to us before then?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Kenny Schmitz,
Yeah,
Building Services Director.
If I could, I'd just like to provide a little bit of information. In my opinion, this is my opinion, Hausman Construction is not performing the services required to meet the manufacturer recommendations to ensure that the warranties are going to be covered by the manufacturers. And so, again, in my opinion, that is voiding the manufacturer warranties. And so I'm just saying that service work needs to be completed as spelled out in those specific equipment manufacturer warranty requirements. It's no different than if you go out and buy a car, a new car. You're required by the manufacturer to service that vehicle at so many miles, to change the oil, so many miles to change the transmission fluid, things like that. You're required to do that, or it will void your manufacturer warranty. No different than our LEC boilers, chillers, generator, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Shane. Dan, on your bus meeting, thank you for doing that. I'm glad that it was, or seemed fruitful. Do they have a route that they can spur off of, or would they create, what kind of were you looking at?
That's what, they're looking at the different options, which might include a loop that would transport people that need to come from the LEC to a place where they could catch a bus route and go from there. And the same would be going out to the LEC. So we're taking a really hard look at that. I want to thank Matthew Young for being, Matthew's very open-minded to all of this, and he was very helpful with his comments. And so he was really engaged with the transportation part of it. And I was there, just for the record, so I don't get the authority members mad at me. I was there as a city council member, not as an authority member. And Matthew was there as the supervisor, and Mike Collette is the assistant city manager.
Oh, thanks for doing that.
You're
And
welcome.
I'm glad that the ball's rolling on that. And Chad Sheehan said, and I haven't really seen much of this covered, but he said he would work with the releasing of inmates to work around a bus time, and our guys in the jail have no problem doing that, you know, and so everybody's being a team player,
Right.
so.
Right, we're working on it. I still want to gather information from Pottawatomie County, but I need to find the right person that can make the call of what we're going to be doing here and what they're doing there. I mean, I want something more than just, well, what are you doing down there? And they say, well, we're using vouchers. I want to know, like, what schedules are, how many members of the public are actually using that transportation.
Sure.
So I need to find someone that's willing to do that. I've already tapped on one person, but I haven't heard back yet.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
That's all I have.
Thank you. There are no other board member concerns. We'll move to item number 13, closed session at 2:30 with Frederickson and Byron Law Firm, Iowa Code Chapter 21.51C.
I'll move, we go into closed session.
Are we gonna move that upstairs?
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Are you seconding the motion?
I'll second it, yes.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.